What's up guys, Syiler here, and we are back continuing the weekly mount farm overview. And man, this is a crazy week. This is probably the most mounts I'll ever get going forward in one singular week. Now there will be a couple of changes. I'm going to add a overall counter for mounts on the screen. And I'm also going to be adding a counter for how many attempts we've had during the series. Not my overall attempts because I don't really track that. So it's just going to be how many attempts we have while it's recorded. The first farm for the week was Malbog for the Crimson Shard Hide, and after about 4 attempts we actually got this drop. Great news for me because I absolutely hate killing this guy. I've got a lot of attempts on this, so a great one to knock off and a good start to the week. Then I made my return to the Flesh Wing for the Lord of the Corpse Flies. Once again, another one I've got quite a lot of attempts on, and we probably knocked out about 12-ish, 10-ish around there attempts on this. Unfortunately, this one is still going to elude me and does mean we still need to come back to Corvia. I was also a lot more proactive with swapping over to Venthyr for attempts at the Stygian Stonecrusher for their Covenant mount, and after about 5-ish attempts we got that drop. So we got the crystal, you just go hand that into the vendor or the quest giver and you get yourself that mount. So that's only one more drop mount we need in Corvia until we're done with that kind of stuff. Next up was killing Harika as Venthyr for the Horrid Dreadwing, and a bunch of people were like, oh, you could just buy it, but I was trying to save the anima because it does cost 5k anima. And the stuff I wanted to buy first. And for the non-believers, we actually got it dropped. So after 3 attempts this week, Horrid Dreadwing is dropped and we save ourselves 5k anima. I wasn't too active on killing Hope Crusher, but we did get 3 attempts in for the week and none of those was successful. Well, at least we are getting a few attempts here and there on that. Next up, I was farming the arena in Maldraxxus for that Battlebound Warhound, and we got a good few days worth of attempts in on this for the week. And then towards the end of the week, we get that drop as well. And this is another great one to knock off for me because it's one that I've been putting quite a bit of time into, especially during Shadowlands. I was quite proactive with this. So good to knock that off, and we're getting really lucky with drop mount. It was also Molly week, so we were able to kill the Dune Gorger for the week, and I got a lot of attempts in on this. I probably got at least 20 attempts in on Dune Gorger, and especially on some very scuffed characters that had no business even being there, honestly. I think I even died on a couple. But unfortunately, after all of those attempts, Molly is going to elude us, and we are going to have to wait for that to come round again, which I think is like 6 to 8 weeks. So going to be waiting a while for more attempts on this one. But the good news at least is most of my characters are probably going to sit there until the next time it's around. Next up was the Mr. Pandaria world bosses, and a bunch of people were like, hey, you know you can bonus roll? Yes, I know I can bonus roll. I just couldn't be bothered going to the island, killing frogs, flying across the zone, buying coins. I just kind of wanted to plonk my character down in AFK while I was working on other stuff. But I did go and get some coins so people weren't hounding me as much. And we did start off with Shower of Anger, and it wasn't from a coin drop, but after 5 attempts for the week, we get the Heavenly Onyx Cloud Serpent. Such a good looking mount. So that's great. Next up was moving over to Undosta, and I think I had about 8 attempts on this, plus about 3 or 4 bonus rolls. And unfortunately, we're not going to get a drop on this. This would be another good one to kind of knock out because it's really awkward to get to. But the good news is the 2 mounts I need from world bosses are only Mogu Fates, so I'm only going to need coins of Mogu Fate now, which saves me a little bit of time if I do decide to grind coins. And then finally for the world boss stuff, we did move over to Nalak with the same characters, so we had about another 7-8 attempts on that, and a few more bonus roll attempts as well. We did seem to get a lot of gear drop though. It was kind of weird. I've never seen so much world boss gear. I'm used to seeing the caches, but it was just like consistent gear drops, which was weird. It was also the week that the Gorge Shadehound was up in the Moor, so I went and had a few attempts on that. I think I only got 3 attempts on this. I wasn't too proactive with it. I honestly just kind of forgot here and there. But unfortunately, no mount drop on that, although 3 attempts, you can't really expect much. I did also get 3 attempts in on the Tormentors of Torghast, and that was pretty much on the same characters, but no drop on this. Although I don't mind that too much. I am still working towards the achievement for the Breaking the Chains, so I'm not in too much of a rush to get this mount drop either. It was also a week that the Venthyr and the Wild Hunt Assaults were up in the Moor, so I went and did those. I only got 3 attempts in total across both of the assaults, so not a ton of attempts. I kind of forgot about it, honestly. But we got 3 attempts in, no drops on either of those 2, so we are going to be waiting for a little while before we can do those again. I also went to the BFA dungeons for a chance at those mounts. We first of all went to Freehold for a chance at Sharkbait, we went to King's Rest for a chance at the Tombstalker, and then finally Underrot for a chance at the Underrot Krog. Unfortunately, no drops from either of those, but I only had 1 attempt on 1 character, so not that big of a deal. Next up, onto some raids, and we first of all went over to Siege of Orgrimmar on Mythic for a chance of the Corcoran Juggernaut. I think I got around 5-ish attempts in on this. No drop so far, but it's super quick now, so I'm okay with farming this for a while. Did also move over to Throne of Thunder for a chance at Ji-Kun from Ji-Kun. And we got a good few attempts in on this as well, and no drop. This is one I really want to knock out because this raid does take some time still, especially getting just to G-Kun. So would really like to see a drop, and I've got a lot of attempts in on this mount so far. Also went over to Mythic Hellfire Citadel for a chance at the Felsteel Annihilator from Archimonde. No drop on this week, but this one I've not got a ton of attempts in, so I'm not too bothered about that one. Then I moved over to Nighthold, and we had a few attempts in on Gul'dan. I think I got about 4 attempts in for the week. No drops on either of the cores though, so we are going to be continuing to farm this one. Then I moved over to Antorus for a shot at the Charhound. No drop there, although I only got 1 attempt in this week. And then I also moved over to Argus for the Shackled Azul, and no drop on that one either, but that's fine. Next up is where I gained an absolute ton of mounts for the week. First of all, I reached Exalted with Death's Advance and was able to purchase the 4 mounts for the Covenants because I already finished the On the Offensive achievement. So we'd done everything we needed to buy those. Just give the vendor 1,000 Stygia, swap Covenant, and you're able to pick up those 4 mounts. Next up, my main goal for the week was to work on the Protoform Synthesis. I'd unlocked it in the past, but I hadn't done anything apart from the initial mounts. I had 1 mount from this. And for the week, we grinded like crazy. I never want to see a Genesis mount again, even though I'm going to still need a few thousand of these. But man, this was a lot of work. So I picked up the Desert Wing Hunter, I picked up the Vespoid Flutterer, Serenade, the Curious Crystal Sniffer, Adorned Vombata, we got Death Runner, we got Forged Spite Flyer, we got Buzz, Raptora Swooper, Scarlet Helicid, Genesis Crawler, we got Ineffable Skitterer, Goldplate Buffonid, and Prototype Libo, and Lupin. So we got a ton of mounts from this. This was a lot of grinding though. I had to put in a lot of hours to get this done. But at least it is a vast majority of these mounts done now. There's still a few that I can grind out. I think I'm missing 2 or 3 that I have the kind of mats for. I just need the moats. And then the rest are going to be locked behind the weekly drops that I need and stuff like that. I did somehow manage to squeeze in some Paragon reputations as well. First of all, we got the Archivist to max, so we were able to get an attempt on that for the Mauler Harness. I also got High Mountain a Paragon box, so we were able to get the supplies for a High Mountain Elderhorn. That didn't drop though. However, I did also get my hands on another mysterious gift from Venara, and this is probably my 2nd attempt at this. I've slacked on that rep pretty hard. But we did get the Soulbound Gloom Charger drop, so that's a great one to knock off as well. Pretty happy with the mounts we were able to obtain this week. I also got enough rep with the Wild Hunt to be able to try for the Amber Arden Moth. There was no drop there though. I also got 1 attempt in for the Researchers Under Fire. I kind of forgot about this one as well, but we got 1 attempt in, no drop for the Catalog Shalewing though. But wait, there's more, it doesn't stop there. I also finished the Venthyr campaign because I hadn't touched this at all yet, so we were able to work through that. We got the Crypt Gargon from the early stages, and then from the last quest chain we got the Battle Gargon Vrednik. So that was 2 mounts from that, probably took maybe 2 hours. I also finished my Path of Ascension to the level that I needed, so I was able to start working on those mounts, and we quickly knocked out the Phalanx of Loyalty, I think it was, the Eternal Phalanx of Loyalty, and also the Eternal Phalanx of Humility. So that was 3 mounts pretty quick, and I've also unlocked some of the ones I can purchase from like the Covenant shared ones, like the Pale Acid Maw. I haven't purchased those yet, because I'm going to sit on the Anima for now, because I may be able to get them for free from other places, but worst case down the line I can purchase those as well if needed. I've also been progressively working on the Queen's Conservatory. I don't have it to rank 5 yet, but I have been able to try for the Awakener's Rune Stag with just 2 catalysts, and we did get that to proc. So now I can just work my way to rank 5 and we can start working on the Enchanted Awakener's Rune Stag, which I now have the Anima form, just waiting for that building to complete. There was also Anima mounts I was able to pick up. We picked up the Kyrian Phalanx of Purity. We also were able to pick up the 2 Venthyr mounts, the Sinful Gargon, and also the Obsidian Gravewing. And then I also had Revered with the Court of Night, so I was able to pick up the Winterborn Rune Stag as well. I finally dropped the 500k needed for the Pale Hide Direhorn as well. I had the gold for this, but man, it just feels really bad to spend 500,000 gold on a mount that just doesn't look that great. But we're doing it for the numbers, so I threw down the gold for that. I threw in the time as well to finish off the Twisting Corridors in Torghast. We got all the way up to layer 8, so I was able to get my Corridor Creeper from doing that. I finally stopped slacking as well and went through the 10.1 quest chain to get my hands on the Winding Sliver Drakes. That's another Dragon Riding mount unlocked. I was also starting to look at some of the Dragonflight mounts. I started working on the Time Rifts, logging in every hour for one of the Time Rift events. And within a few days, we were able to pick up enough currency to purchase all of the ones for Alliance. So I got the Fellstorm Drake, we got the Perfected Juggernaut, we got the Gold Toad Albatross, we got the Scourge-bound Vanquisher, the Sulphur Hound, the Ravenous Black Griffin, although to be fair I already had that, someone kind of give it to me because you can kind of teach it to other people. The only one I'm now missing is the Horde version, the White Werewolf. So I'll either need to find someone to trade once I get my hands on another copy of the Ravenous Black Griffin, or I'll need to level a Horde character just so I can purchase that at some point. I also purchased the Strange Goop, so I was able to fish up Huracan, and if you're the one who fishes it up, you will get that Deep Star Polyput on 100% drop chance. The final thing we did for the week was finish the dailies for the Child of Torcali, so that was another +1, and that brings us to over 40 mounts obtained for the week, which is crazy. I definitely wasn't expecting to be able to get that many in a week. It does bring us up to a pretty good number now, although I still am aiming for kind of about 750 mounts. I'd say would be a comfortable spot to be in. That'd be around like 90% of owned. There are still some easy mounts for me to obtain, but the rest from there on out are going to be grinds. And I don't plan to do any PvP, so we are always going to miss out on those mounts as well, unfortunately. I'm not too sure if there will be an episode next week, mainly because I'm probably going to be spending a lot of time playing Starfield, and I'm not too sure how much mount stuff I'll get in my free time done. But we'll see, maybe I will get some stuff done enough that I can make an update. But if there's not much stuff to talk about, there's no point in making like a 3-minute video, so I'll probably just roll that into a bigger video 2 weeks down the line. Outside of that though, hopefully you enjoyed the overview for the week. Good luck on your own mount hunting adventures. Thanks for watching guys. See ya.